Now on to the hot political season and how families are dealing with divided loyalties. Once again, my colleague Maria Hinojosa.
For Republican voters, there's no question who the nominee will be. But of the two remaining Democratic candidates, deciding which to vote for is causing serious arguments in some households. Earlier this week, I spoke with feminist Letty Cottin Pogrebin, who supports Hillary Clinton, and her daughter, author Abigail Pogrebin, who has chosen Barack Obama.
So this election has been, let's just say, divisive in your family.
It's been lively.
There's a lot of blood on the floor.
Blood on the floor?
No.
What makes this election so compelling between the two of you, mother-daughter?
I mean, I think it's because I was raised in a family where we all kind of agreed on everything. And here I am now in my 40s. It's the first real departure. It's the first real disagreement.
Letty, you are not just one of the founders of Ms. Magazine. You have been called one of the founders of the women's movement in the United States. So when your daughter says to you, Mom, I'm going for Barack Obama,
Yeah.
Your reaction?
I thought she should consider more seriously what she was doing. I mean, she did consider it, but I thought that abandoning Hillary was a very serious thing to me. I felt as if Hillary's turn had come and she deserved it, and she represents women in a way that's very gut level.
Okay, Abigail, your mom says, okay, if my daughter wants to abandon
I heard
Hillary
that word
Clinton,
too.
your mom is saying you are abandoning Hillary Clinton, you're abandoning essentially the women's movement.
Well, you're abandoning a certain triumph, I think, a certain goal, a certain victory that's been, worked for decades. And she has been a linchpin of that effort and that movement.
Which is, if you're a feminist in America, the ultimate goal is to have a woman in the White House.
Exactly. I don't feel it in those terms. I don't experience her candidacy as a seminal moment in that way. But I don't feel it as a sellout. I don't feel it as a disappointment. And I also resent it a little bit because I still feel very much a feminist in every way.
But why has this election set off such a nerve, particularly among women of a different generation? Letty?
I think for us it was unthinkable, women of my generation, that the moment when we would see ourselves actually represented by a viable woman candidate, there would be a viable male candidate. We thought it would be business as usual, and we would be running against the traditional white male. This time, it's like you differentiate on hope versus experience. How bizarre. I mean, hope versus experience, we want both, yes, but we now have to come down on one side or the other. We have to be for hope or be for experience. Who expected this?
As Mom is saying, what wasn't expected was that it would be first woman against first black. And I also don't think you expected to have someone who was going to make us feel what he makes us feel. And I think it's pretty undeniable that if you hear him speak, and especially if you see him in person, that you don't feel something you haven't felt before from a politician in a long time.
But Hillary Clinton was supposed to be the revolutionary, breaking all the grounds kind of candidate.
She still is a revolutionary figure, and I think it's extraordinary that we have a first woman, and she is a very plausible candidate, very strong, as Abigail recognized, and somehow or other she becomes the establishment candidate. I think that's very bizarre.
So when you see these younger women saying, I'm going for Obama, what does that do to you?
I understand it, and I think that because...
In your gut, Letty, what does it do to you?
It hurts. It hurts, because it's kind of like, does a woman, when a woman finally deserves to be where she is, somebody comes in and undercuts her. And it's just like a feeling we've all known. We've all known where you've worked hard in your job, and then comes in a young whippersnapper, and, he can play golf with everybody, and he can, kind of charm, and he takes precedence. But I do understand, having been a kind of Kennedy aficionado myself in 1960, I understand how change can be seductive. And I just think it's important for women and men to think, what would be so terrible about him waiting 8 years and getting seasoned?
Oh, okay, Abigail. Your mom is saying your candidate, an African-American man, should wait essentially his turn?
I just don't think that things happen that way. You know, we are at a particular political moment. We are at a particular historical moment. We have weathered the worst in terms of these 8 years of George Bush. So we're all kind of scarred and dazed by it. And here comes someone who actually makes us feel that we're going to feel proud of being Americans again. And I can't even believe I'm saying that sentence. I've never had sort of the language of patriotism in my life.
So, Letty, when Oprah says, look, the reason why I can vote and choose to vote for Barack Obama is because I am a free woman. And I can make my choices freely, and I don't have to vote for a woman if I don't want to.
I do respect people who have reached this conclusion because, you know, it's like we did. The whole struggle to give women autonomy and give women a voice was to reach this moment when women could choose a different candidate than a woman. I understand that. I mean, it hurts, but I understand it, and in a way, it's a measure of our success. So, you know, again, stuck between a rock and a hard place, because I'm really celebrating the independence of a woman, and yet I'm saying, why in the world, when push comes to shove, can't you support a woman?
So you're still trying to convince each other.
I mean, at one point...
She told me I had to stop.
I did. At one point, I just said, I'm not changing my mind.
Mom.
Mommy.
Abigail Pogrebin and Letty Cottin Pogrebin, thank you for joining us on Now.
Thank you.
Great conversation.
There's the issue of who to vote for and the issue